Well, good morning. I'm Dirk Webb from the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to another toolkit. Today, we've got She-Lia Henry from Account on Us. And for this first quarter of the year, we're going to dig into human resources. It's not a glamorous topic, but it sure is an important topic. So we want to thank our sponsors, the City of St. Cloud, Osceola County, Orlando Health St. Cloud, OUC, the reliable one, the Osceola County Realtors, and Toho Water Authority. And we invite you to make the toolkit part of your monthly business calendar. Also, this recording is going to go up on our website at a little later date, and it'll be there for you to access later on with this important information. About our speaker, then She-Lia Henry, partner at Account on Us, serves in the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, bringing deep expertise in accounting, finance, and small business support with a strong focus on empowering entrepreneurs through sound financial practices. She-Lia plays a key role in promoting economic stability and growth in the St. Cloud area. Her leadership reflects a commitment to service, professionalism, and building lasting business relationships. In addition to all that, we count her as our friend. So we're very delighted to have She-Lia talking us through this. Ma'am, it's all yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So we are going to tap into employee human resource file compliance.
Maybe we've got
Maybe.
the sharing up, and I'm going to I'm going to stop the sharing, and we're going to try it again. All right. Oh my goodness, what a day! And where did it go? There it is. All right. Let's see if we can get that done. Zoom the share. And try it again. Resume the share. Okay. My goodness. All right. Hang on. Technical difficulties.
That's fine. I'm just going to sip my coffee.
Okay. Okay. Now let's go back here. Back to Zoom. And share the screen. And here and here. And do we have it now? There we go. All right. I think we're good with you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay.
So in employee HR compliance, we're going to focus on two of the forms that go in your HR file. So the W-4 form was changed in 2018. And then the passing of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act happened in 2025. And then we made additional changes in December of 2025 to the W-4 form and the I-9 form that goes in your HR folder. So every employer should, if you have employees, whether you have one employee, 5 employees, 100 employees, should have a employee folder for your employee. This is a sample of what that folder should look like. In that folder, you normally put the employee application, the employee resume, copies of the driver's license or passport, social security card. If you do background checks on your employee, you put that in that folder. The IRS W-4 form, the IRS W-9 form, any corrective actions or memo and performance evaluations all get compiled in this folder from hire to termination. So let's start with the employee W-4 form. The employee W-4 form, the purpose of this, oh, I'm moving too fast. Sir? Okay,
Sorry.
yes. The purpose of this form is to tell your employer payroll system how to tax you. That's the only purpose of this form. You determine, what federal withholdings are deducted from your paycheck by completing this form. So step one is to enter your personal information, your name, your address, your social security number. A lot of employees forget to put that there, but there's a section for it. You have to identify whether you're single, married, filing jointly, married, filing separately, or you want to be taxed as head of household. All of that is important. Step two, that section is whether, and honestly, this is only technically for married filing jointly couples. Whether there's only two jobs in the household, meaning I have a job and my spouse have a job. Step three, and this is where the changes in 2018 took effect. It went from going from how many exemptions I'm claiming on my tax return to how many dependents under the 16 and under am I claiming, and I multiply that number by a dollar value, and how many dependents on my tax return I am claiming that is 17 and above, because there's two different dependent amounts for it. So if the child you're claiming on your tax return is 16 or under, per the new tax law that passed in 2025, the child tax credit is $2,200. If the child or adult, be it a parent, that you're taking care of, that you're claiming on your tax return is 17 and above, the credit that you get is only going to be $500. So you're going to multiply that number by the credit and put it in the space in section 3. That's the whole purpose of that. If you're married filing joint, please note that your spouse is not a dependent on your tax return. They're a joint taxpayer. Section 4. Section 4 is where you put your other adjustments. So if you have other income like Social Security income, pension income that is not taxed, and you want to add that to it so that the appropriate tax is calculated in the algorithm, you'll put that number or that amount in box 4A. If you have deductions, which is on page 4 of your W-4, you'll add those deductions here. And on page 4, the deductions would be qualified tips, qualified overtime compensation, qualified passenger vehicle loan interest, seniors who are age 65 and older, there's an extra $6,000. You can add that to your W-4 so that it's deducted, and our payroll algorithms calculate the appropriate federal withholding tax for you, whether you're going to have itemized deductions, blah, 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 blah. All of those deductions are on page 4. Dirk, is it possible to bring up page 4 of the W-4?
Yes. Give me just a second here. Four.
You passed it. Go back one.
Yeah.
Can you make that a little bigger? Please. Down left navigation.
Down here. Yeah. There we go.
So as you can see, this is page 4. This is for step 4B. on the first page of the W-4. So these are the deductions that the IRS would like for you to add up, calculate, and then put on your W-4. So it can be deducted against your gross income to calculate, what your taxable income may be. So the federal withholdings is a little more accurate. And in step 4, part C, where it says extra withholdings, on top of the calculation, you can tell payroll to add extra withholdings. Sometimes it'll be, I don't know, $5, $25 that you want added in your federal withholdings per paycheck. That is up to you because this form is for you to calculate and to tell our payroll system what you want your tax to be, how to tax you. So it's very important that you fill this out correctly.
So it looks like the W-4 form has become a lot more complicated
Yes,
with
because you
more
have
options.
to actually know what your tax situation is.
Okay.
So if you don't want your payroll company to tax you at all, under there it says exempt from withholdings. You just check that box and no federal taxes will come out of your paycheck at all. Now, section 5 is basically you're signing and dating it. It's your attestation that the information you put on here is accurate on the first page.
Oh, beg your pardon. Okay.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
Where it says step 5, sign here.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you as the employee sign and date. And the IRS have you do this because these are legal and binding. And you signing and dating means that you put this information on here, so you're responsible for what happens in your paycheck, not the payroll company, not your employer. This is an
Okay.
employee obligation form.
Now, since we've had some complications here with technology this morning, let's just really quick go through this. So as you say, it said on your handout, step 1 is where you enter your personal information. And here
Yes.
you decide your tax situation, right?
Your tax status, because basically single or married filing jointly determines your standard deduction. So if you're single or married filing jointly, your standard deduction is $15,000. If you're married filing jointly, your standard deduction is $30,000. If you're head of household, your standard deduction is $19,000. So when you're getting your income, at that point where you exceed your standard deduction is when you reach your taxable, adjusted gross income. And that's when the tax start calculating what percentage you're in, the 10% tax bracket, 15%, 22%.
Okay. Then you described step 2 in your previous remarks. And this then is where you enter the multiple jobs, whether your spouse works, that sort of thing.
Exactly. So if you check box C, that means
Hmm.
that you and your spouse have one job each.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you
Very
have
good.
multiple jobs, that's when you have to calculate the what tax you're going to be in, and that's on page 5 where you see that chart
Yes. Let's go there real quick.
right
I
there.
didn't I didn't want to hum by this after we'd had some technical problems. We wanted to make this a little more clear. So go ahead.
That's not a problem. So for the top section is for married filing joint filers. So if you have
Mhm.
multiple jobs, well, if you have two jobs, let's say the first job pays you $50,000 and the second job pays you 30. So for the lower paying job, you'll go across the top till you get to $30,000. For the higher paying job, you go on the side panel until you get to the $50,000. And then where they intersect, that will be your annual tax. That's where your additional tax will be.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's go back to page 1 then. And we covered step 2. So in step three, you say claim dependent and other credits. So this is where you do the
Yes.
calculations of the qualifying children, the dependents, et cetera.
Yes, and then you add them up. So if you have two children that's in school age under 16, you're multiply 2 times 2,200. If you're taking care of a parent, or you have an adult child that's in college over the age of 17, you'll multiply that one person times 500, and then you add them up and put them in number three, because
Okay, so
that
the
would
thing
be
to
your
note here,
dependency deduction.
okay, the thing to note here is this comes into play if your total income will be 200,000 or less, 400,000 or less if married filing jointly.
Well,
So
that come into play because that's the phase out amount. So if you
right,
make over $200,000 as a single person or head of household, you no longer qualify for a child tax credit.
okay, okay,
If
very
you're
good.
married filing jointly and you make over $400,000, it phases out, you no longer qualify for the child tax credit.
Okay. Oops, sorry. And then
That's fine.
step four is any other adjustments.
Well, any other income. So you can add additional
Sorry.
income in step 4A that is not being taxed at that source. So for example, if you have social security income, a lot of people don't have their social security income tax. So you can add the social security income in that section.
Okay. And then the deductions.
And then the deductions that we discussed on page 4.
Okay.
And then extra withholdings by pay
Okay.
period. So this extra withholdings come in if you just want to have extra withholdings, like an extra $25 out, or where on page 5, where you have more than one job, and
Mm-hmm.
that amount that we pinpointed, that it intersected from your lowest paying job and your highest paying job, that's the
Yeah.
extra, amount that you would want to come out, and you will multiply that by your number of pay periods. So if you're biweekly, that's 26 pay periods. If you get paid on a weekly basis, that's 52 pay periods, and that would be your extra withholdings.
Okay. Then obviously step five, oops. Step five is where you date and sign. And
Yes. And that's for
and
the employer at the bottom of that. So once you
then
give
down
this form
below,
back to the employer.
employees here, employer, you have to sign off on that as well.
Yes, the company has to put their name and address, your first date of employment, and their EIN number, and this goes in your employee file because the state or the IRS can come and audit the company at will
Right.
and do an audit of the employee files.
Okay. Anything else on the W-4?
No, sir. Unless somebody else have questions.
If you have questions, or if you're watching this recording and you want to know more about this, we can put you in touch with She-Lia and Account on Us, and she can help you with this, walking through these forms. That's what we're happy to do, is make that connection for you. All right. I think the next thing is the I-9, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let me stop the share. Let's bring up the I-9 form this time, and we will walk through this as you discuss it. So give me just a second to share my screen again. And all right, let me know when you can see that, and we'll get started with it.
I can see it.
And we want to blow it up again. All right, is that better?
Yes.
All right, so go ahead.
So the I-9 form just recently had a revision. It's this is new, so it was revised in the beginning of 2025, in January of 2025, on the 20th. And the purpose of this form is to verify your citizenship or immigration status.
Okay.
So in section 1, um, the employee completes section 1 only, and this is an employer form. So the company completes everything else. So the employee
Okay.
just needs to put their information in, their name, address, date of birth, social security number, their email address and telephone number. And then they check whether they're a citizen of the United States, a non-citizen, a lawful permanent resident, or a alien authorized to work. And they have to provide that information on the I-94 number or their passport. And then they sign and they date it. And
So
then
if
this
they check
form,
one of these, if they check one
yes,
of these, they have to come down here, correct?
yes.
And sign off
And
on
then
it. Okay.
again, the IRS is having you sign and date it because you are, by your signature, putting it on here, you're asserting that the information you put on here is accurate. And you can be held accountable for the information you put on this form in a court of law. That's the purpose of signing and dating it.
Okay.
Then the rest of this form is for the company to verify that you provided them with information about your citizenship or non-citizenship. So we need to make copies of the information you give us, list A. On the second page is a list of documents that you can provide to prove citizenship or non-citizenship, or your ability to work in the United States. So list A, we normally, ask for a passport. If you don't have a passport, we can substitute that with your social security card and your driver's license. But if you are a minor and you don't have a driver's license, you can substitute that for school ID, medical records, or anything else on this list that you will give to the company or the employer. And they have to document that they received it, what they received, and keep copies attached to this form. And then they get to check off on the first page their information, who gathered the information from the employee. So we would have to put our name, the date, and then sign off on it. And then we have to put our company information, business name, and address. Now, the change to this form is on the first page, if the employee needed a translator, there was a spot for the translator to put information. They made that its own separate page because now they want to collect on page 3. If the form was not prepared by the employee, but by the translator now needs to list, their name and address and the date that they translated or completed this form on the employee's behalf. And they have it 4 times. So I don't know if you have 4 different translators. I don't know what the purpose of the 4 times is. But this is the change they made to this form. This all used to be on 1 page. Now it is 4 separate pages. The second change to this form is supplement B, which also used to be on the first page. That's page 4. Supplement B is if we terminate this employee and turn around and rehire this employee, we need to re-verify the information. So the social security card or the driver's license or the passport, to make sure that it didn't expire, it's still valid, blah, blah, blah. Only if we rehire do we need supplement B.
Okay. So if we go back to the first page, then, I'm sorry, the second page, the employer then has to fill in all this information.
Yes.
So list A, if we don't have list A, then we go to list B and C.
And C, you got to do both. So if they have a passport, it goes in list A and that's all you need. So you would list the document in document title number 1 saying passport, the issue and authority of that passport would be the United States, or if they have a foreign passport, like a Canadian passport, it would be Canada. And then you have to list the document number and the expiration date of that document.
Is there any instance where we would need a second List A document here?
Not necessarily, because normally you only have one passport.
Okay. All right. So this becomes very incumbent upon the business owner to make this happen and make sure it goes into their file, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And now with this form, if you're a company that have 25 or more employees, you also have to verify the employee's social security number on the IRS website.
For 25 employees or more.
Right.
So up to that point, if you're, when does this kick in? If you're a one-person shop, you don't necessarily need to do this for yourself. But once you start adding employees, now you're needing to do this,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
All right. So I'll give you an instance. The chamber is taking on a new employee on Monday. And so we will have to present these forms and no later than the first day of employment, but not before accepting the job offer. So in
Absolutely.
your mind, then, as soon as that brand new employee hits the front door, the W-4 and the I-9 need to happen before they do
Yes.
anything.
And you need to
Okay.
make copies of their identification that they're providing you.
Okay. Very good. All right. So Lisa, Heather, you're on this call with us. Do you have any questions or comments about this?
No, I think it was very informative though, and it is a lot.
It is.
Yeah, it's definitely become more complex.
It
All right.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And She-Lia, you did a great job explaining that.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. What else do you have for us, ma'am?
That is all at the moment.
Okay, that's plenty, right? Okay. So with that in mind, we want to remind you all that this is very important to your business, and this is why the chamber is here, why we have experts such as She-Lia Henry here to discuss these items. So as you're seeing this recording, we want to remind you that She-Lia is available to help you through these things, and she offers a lot more services. So can you tell us for just a moment what all Account on Us provides for our members?
My company is a full service accounting and tax firm. So we do monthly bookkeeping. We prepare financial statements for our clients. We prepare sales tax returns. We process payroll. We do individual and corporate and trust tax returns.
Very good. All right, with that in mind then, She-Lia, thank you. That was indeed very informative. And I know years ago I used to do some of this stuff and it wasn't nearly like that. So it was usually a one pager and didn't take very long to complete. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your research. Very much appreciated.
You're
So
welcome. You guys have a great day.
thank you. So we want to remind you that the Toolkit is an ongoing presentation of the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce. Keep in touch, get on our mailing list if you're not already, and we will inform you on the next Toolkit in February. On behalf of all of us here at the Chamber of Commerce, thank you very much.